So, so Kenyan teams have been marked like the same way, where everybody knew what our moves are at all times. So, again, we lost the game. It was tough, but again, it helped us rebuild, and here we are celebrating, knowing that we have come from deep, dark places. Sometimes a loss is a learning experience.
Right?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
always made it to the quarters.
Yeah, fifth has been our last result. So the team was actually getting to it, and that is all that fighting and knowing where you're coming from is what came out on the final game. I actually was hoping we play Canada, but then I remember I told you, like, no, we need to win, because if we don't finish second and we don't get this is a final. It's gonna do a do or die. So you want a team at least that is not strong. Because if you find a team that is somehow strong,
But Germany had
and
beaten
on a
us.
one-off,
Yeah, Germany had beaten us.
yeah, but they're not having a good tournament,
Okay.
right? They're not having a good. We were having a good tournament. They were not having a good tournament, right? Something that Spain did was have a good tournament. Spain is not like they were that good. They just had a good
They had
tournament.
a good tournament. And and maybe take us back to that moment that we got relegated last season at Twickenham in London. That was a very sad moment, for all of us rugby fans. It was the first time in the World 7 circuit that Kenya was not going to participate in the tournament's 23-year history. What was going through your mind when that happened, Konye?
Yeah, I can remember that day clearly. It was on Sunday, the last day of the tournament in Twickenham.
Last
Last
score.
day that was supposed to determine, the last day that's going to determine whether we are going to be going forward or going backward. So it was tough. It was a tough day. First, with first 2 minutes, one of the best players, the youngest player, Rekesa, got knocked out, and he got an injury. So he had to come out. The next, a few little minutes later, it was Tony, our kicker, could not do anymore. So we had like 5 of the starters, and then we had to get to pull the bench. And if memory serves you right, you may remember that we had a lot of players. We were all dependent on Bufa. Bufa was the ball carrier.
Yes.
And all the Canadians had read the number. And when Bufa was getting the ball, he had like 4 of the Canadians already attacking him. So, and holding on to him and taking the ball from him. So our game plan had already been mastered. And unfortunately, our coaching at that particular point was primarily dependent on that play. And when that play failed, there was almost no backup, no backing away from it. So, Canada scores. Okay, we scored first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we scored first. Unfortunately, we were not able to convert. Then, Rekesa comes out, Tony comes out. We have 2 new players, and I'm like, wow. Then Canada, mysteriously, they're able to get the ball. They score in the middle, they kick, and they have a 7. We have a 5. And guess what? Canada just pulled their defense. From there on, we never touched the ball again. Mm-hmm. And man, when the final whistle blew, there was so many tears that were being shed around there. It was tough. But I think relegation comes with its own benefits, because it did come to realize that we did not have a good avenue to interject our new players. If you were to look at some of the games that were played before, where we introduced newer players that other players, that the circuit players did not know, we won those games. But whenever we brought our older, I hate to say this, but our Ugandans, wanakuanga na sababora. They usually have the same 7 players that start the game all the time. So Kenyan teams have been marked like the same way, where everybody knew what our moves are at all times. So again, we lost the game. It was tough, but again, it helped us rebuild, and here we are celebrating, knowing that we have come from deep, dark places. Sometimes a loss is a learning experience. But if you don't learn from it, unfortunately, then you'll never progress.
Okay, now Mika has a quick question here in studio, and then tutaendelea. Mika.
No, it's not a question. It's actually adding up to what he said. Remember, Lee, when we got relegated, and I told you we need this.
Yes.
We need this.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand it at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah,
because without that relegation, we will not have sorted out. First of all, the back office of the team, which is the coach, the technical committee, and everything, and all about it. The selection of the players was again something that we need to go back and think about it and come back. And then another thing that we needed to really think about is how to, as Konya said, when you're integrating new players into the team, and also continuing with our current crop on how they're going to fix it. We had gotten to a point whereby we were sort of like lazy.
Exactly.
We were lazy. We were lazy. We were lazy in everything. Lazy in coaching, lazy in playing. Like if it didn't work out, we didn't know what to do next.
Complacency.
We were not doing anything.
Okay.
And we deserved to get where we were, but we also needed to get that because it was a wake-up call. And if the good thing about this is, if you notice when we went to this, when we started playing the qualifiers now,
the Challenger Series.
Yes.
Yeah.
The team was performing. Like, it was winning, finishing third, but I think our worst result has been fifth, right?
Yes, we always made it to the quarters.
Yeah, fifth has been our worst result. So the team was actually getting to it, and that is all that fighting and knowing where you're coming from is what came out on the final game. I actually was hoping we play Canada, but then I remember I told you, like, no, we need to win, because if we don't finish second and we don't get this is a final. It's going to do a do or die. So you want a team at least that is not strong, because if you find a team that is somehow strong,
but Germany had beaten
on
us.
a one-off.
Yeah, Germany had beaten us.
Yeah, but they're not having a good tournament.
Okay.
Right? They were not having a good. We were having a good tournament. They were not having a good tournament, right? Something that Spain did was have a good tournament. Spain is not that they were that good. They just had a good tournament.
They had a good tournament, and they were playing at home.
And they made it easy for themselves on the final day. Even if you saw the final game, like if you realize with the final game, all the top teams, number 1 and number 2, zilifungwa kwanza. Games zao zote. All.
Me, by the way,
even in the other pool, all number ones got, like, they started shaky and then they came back. Now you see, imagine if we had been complacent, we finished number 3, right? And then we meet the number 2 from the other side. And we meet the number 2, and then when we meet that number 2, we like they come with that fire that people are coming with day 2. It would have been hard. It would have made our final game hard.
I don't know whether I like that format. And I'm saying this selfishly because me leaning is a tumbo joto. You know, it got me butterflies because I'm like, I was thinking a team like Spain, they've won all their games and they could possibly be eliminated from qualification just based on losing that one last game.
Do you know why? I didn't like it, but do you know why I saw the need of it? At the end of the day, every team was coming with a 50-50 shot of going.
Wow.
So basically what ARB did was give every team a chance to qualify up to the last minute.
No team left behind.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I have, there's a Gospel 3075 and Asema sound is low. I think that was some time back. I think that sound issue has been fixed. And then I have Samuel Gikonyo, who says, Go Konye, thanks for always representing the Kenya team. Asante sana Konye. And then we have here, let me see.
Washake Ndirango is asking what ignited your passion for rugby, and I guess Stephen JJ responded by saying film. Watch your film. I don't know which film he's talking about.
I think JJ is responding to anafikiriano Mozaswali.
Oh, okay. Alafu okay. Dennis Pesonga, karibu sana. Deno, we were kabisa focused this turner. Fear of failure is a good motivator. Okay. Supporting and echoing Mika's sentiment.
Yeah, so back to Washeke's question before we go to what it means to be relegated, because I want us to talk about that. Real quick, Washeke was asking, what is it that ignited your passion for rugby? just briefly.
So my passion for rugby has always been since I was maybe in high school. I played a little bit of high school ball, and then I moved to the States at a very tender age, right out of high school. So when I came to the States, I had not reached my peak growth, but I started growing, and I was like, what sport am I going to play? So I played club rugby, local clubs, and then I started playing for Kenya Sevens, Kenya Excel Sevens. Kenya Excels, we had a tournament actually, a yearly tournament, a 15th tournament every end of Memorial Day. We used to have a tournament in Dallas, a 15th tournament. Then we converted to a 7th tournament. So again, my passion has always been there. And then I stopped playing active rugby after I got into medical school. That's when I stopped playing active rugby. I used to play like every once in a while. I play touch. So my passion for rugby has always been there. But then I did realize that I really wanted to get that edge of my rugby. And then, like Kenya Sevens used to come, play in Vegas, and I get this high. I try to go to Canada, and I get this high. So when I had the opportunity and I had the ability to, I was like, why can I not go and watch them play? So this actually came to reality after COVID. So I think if my memories, and I said you're right, is that in 2020 was the last tournament in LA.
Yeah.
And then there was that one called alcohol. People having coughs, colds.
Yes.
And then they're going to play it in Canada. And guess what? After winning Canada, the world shut down.
Yep.
No rugby, nothing.
Nothing. Zero.
For a year and a half.
Club
Some
COVID.
countries closed down. Yeah, everything closed down. So when COVID came, I'm like, wow. After COVID, I was like, wow. There's a tournament that's going to start this year, and it's going to start in Malaga, Spain. That was the first tournament post-COVID. That's the only place that we could go in, and you have to walk in with a mask, and you have to sit in the stands with a mask. I was like, but they're giving me an opportunity to go to Spain to watch rugby. So guess what I did? Bought a damn flight. Probably one of the cheapest flights I ever bought in my life. I think that flight both ways was less than $300. So I got my flight to Spain, and I met actually, talk about this. That's when I met my really great friend Evans Mbugwa, aka Showing My Love. You always see that I'm always wearing a logo like this. That's called the Showing My Love logo, just like that.
Okay.
I met him. He was carrying a Kenyan flag, and I was like, "Oh, I see some Kenyans." Oh, and guess what? That was a marriage made in heaven, maybe in hell, but we have always been together, going to different tournaments.
Okay.
Going to tournaments. We feed onto each other, and ever since then we've been going to every tournament together. We've gone to almost every continent at this particular point. So it's out of passion and realizing that our Kenyan boys have a lot of potential, but their support, again, there was not a lot of people traveling with them. I realized that other teams don't even have a single person, cheering for them, unless you can have like one random person. I was like, why can I not be? Again, I have the capability, and I love traveling. Why not I make my travel arrangements and to visit these different parts of the world where Kenya is playing, and I can watch rugby. So there it was.
Okay.
It was a marriage made in heaven or hell, whatever you want to call it, but it's lived happily ever after.
Okay,
Marriage
match made in
made-
heaven, and that other your partner, one day, hopefully, we'll also get him here to hear his perspective. Have a couple of comments coming here. Steven JJ says, when Konye was saying teams imetusoma, ndio nilikuwa nasema kuwatch film. Watching film
okay, I get it.
is very important.
Yeah.
And then I also saw a comment from Ed Ribui, but imepotea. I don't know whether you can see it, Unomike, from your side. And then Moses Karumba says, uko everywhere. And I can see we have other people who are tuned in. Feel free to type in, ask your question. Number to call 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Now, Konye, we were relegated last season, but what exactly does it mean to be relegated? Because of course the obvious is we're not going to play in the main tournament next season, but what exactly did it mean? Because I think a lot of casual fans had no understanding, like what it meant in as far as finances, in as far as sponsorship, and just a lot of other privileges that come with being in the main series. Konye.
So you may realize again, this is mostly stuff from the clubs, and again, most fans, again, they're barely learning what rugby means, what rugby rules are. So some people don't even understand. But the nitty gritty of it is that once you get relegated, you lose a lot of funding. World Rugby provides a lot of funding for the teams that are in the top. The teams that are in the main series, they get a lot of funding to be able to develop their programs, advance their systems. So when you lose that funding, then your sponsors are going to look at you and they're going to be like, well, your team is not performing as good. Why would I be spending so much money on you and you're not producing what you're supposed to be getting? So that becomes a tussle where, again, the union had to bargain with our main sponsor, which was a sports pesa, to try and get some funds. They were almost pulling out. But again, if your memory serves you right, again, there was also a lot of tussle in the boards at that point. There was an upcoming election, so we had a change in management at the top in KRU, which also played an effect because again, all the sponsors were pulling out and such. Again, this has been talked of in the media, in the news a lot about what was going on in the background. And unfortunately, you realize that all the stuff that was going on in the background affects the boys in the front. So losing that kind of big funding, that's the biggest picture. Once you lose the World Rugby funding, that becomes a big tussle because you're almost walking on one leg and trying to climb some stairs.
Wow, walking on one leg and trying to climb some stairs, which is one of the reasons why I got worried, because I got into a little bit of reading of what happens when a team is relegated, and it was very scary because we've previously seen teams on the circuit relegated and never came back. So I know, so that was something that was ringing in my mind, and I was like, is this what's gonna happen to Kenyan rugby? Now, Mika, you had mentioned, about the possibility of relegation, because you're one of the people in this group who understands rugby at that very technical level, having played the game. So most of us were going by just emotions and passion. Then the relegation happened. Did you at any point, go back and think that there's some teams that have been relegated and never got back?
Oh yes, you have the fear of relegation. When you see that fear of relegation, as Konya said, relegation does come with a lot of complicated things. Alafu kwanza, especially for us, whereby the union depends on sponsors, and most Kenyan sponsors don't really mess with you when you're losing. Not even most. Kenyan sponsors don't mess with you when you're losing. When you're not performing, no company is going to put money on you. But when you're winning,
everyone,
all of them, even the government, are your friend. Right? So you have to perform to get money. They don't give you money to improve yourself to perform.
So you have to perform to get money.
Yes.
I mean, that was a very tricky and
so there was that fear. There was always that fear of it. But then, for me, the one thing that gave me a beacon of hope was that there was an election that was going to happen.
Oh, election 2022.
Yes.
Hustler government.
Yeah. See, Agava.
Yeah.
Election
you're talking about
union.
Yeah.
I'm mixing elections.
Yeah.
Maze unajua elections in Kenya. Very
at least traumatized. At least traumatized. Ever since 2022 August.
No. Elections in Kenya very traumatic.
No, rugby elections.
Yeah. Okay, rugby
and
election.
at that point,
Yeah.
the clear winner looked like it was going to be Sasha.
Okay.
And one thing I know Sasha knows how to do is look for money.
Okay. All right, because he had been in the union before.
And he had played, he had been before he played. And then Kenya, Sasha is the guy who brought us the Virgin Atlantic sponsorship, the first sponsorship we ever got for that team.
Mm-hmm.
And when he was the chairman at that particular time, that team performed really well. So I knew that he was going to try. If he was going to succeed in bringing us back, it was not going to be due to lack of failure.
Okay.
So that was my beacon of hope. And then another beacon of hope that I knew is that the pride that those players have in them, they were going to walk all over the Challenger Series.
Interesting.
Because
Interesting.
the one thing I knew is that they knew they're the ones who brought us there. And they accepted the responsibility. And most of them knew that we have to fix this. If we don't fix this, it's not going to happen. So there was hope in saying that if we had the mixture of a few things, it was coming back. And then now you see those pretenders from rugby were also going to run away because of relegation. There's no money, there's nothing. So anybody who's going to stick with rugby is somebody who wants to see rugby work.
So it was good to sieve the trash.
Yes.
Yeah, it was good to sieve the trash and get out the people who were there just to post.
Yes. Now you watch this here, how politicking is going to kick up.
Now that's my biggest fear, and I think I think we have experience of politicking and what politicking and mismanagement can do, because we picked in 2016 when we won in Singapore, and politicking took over after that, and it led to a relegation in 2023.